Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Good morning, folks. It is Thursday, Thirsty Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. 32323. 232323. Good morning. Not much going on in the world today. David Uhlfelder, young David Uhlfelder, kicking ass in the comedy world, is our scheduled guest today. It's early for him, probably just waking up. And I wouldn't blame him if he slept through this whole thing. This is 6:15 out in Northern California where he is, or Middle California where he is, wherever the hell he is. He's in California, where the tornadoes are hitting. Very unusual what's going on out there in California right now. What did you do, California, to deserve this? I think you should apologize to whoever you seem to have offended and kind of beg them to back off. California, so far this year, snowstorms up the wazoo. In LA County and in Los Angeles, snowstorms. Of course, earthquakes. Earthquakes are always that thing. But now tornadoes. Seems, and of course, flooding and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff goes with it. So what's going on, California? I mean, things are completely, I don't know, out of sync with what California's got. Now, here on the East Coast and Northeast, we've had an extremely mild winter. Generally, it's not going to make this a big climate change debate, but generally, we will get feet of snow, a couple of big storms a year. We got nothing this year. Things are a little bit anomalous for at least this year anyway. Very strange year. Most of the people on Twitter most of the people on Twitter who follow the political nonsense that goes on in America have been obsessed with the idea of Trump getting indicted for about a week now. Crazy. And I have a feeling some of our Trumpers in the audience are not showing up because they expect me to be going off on it. I'm not going to do that. First of all, I said from the beginning that I expected eventually Trump would be indicted for something, but he could never be jailed or never be convicted because they can't ever impanel an impartial jury. There is no such thing as an impartial jury as far as Donald Trump is concerned. You either think he's guilty already or you think he's innocent already. But there's nobody who doesn't have an opinion on the man. Nobody. You can't find 12 people on the planet, never mind 12 Americans. He can't be tried, much less convicted. But people thinking he's got to get arrested. Not the way it happens, folks. First of all, the grand jury has not indicted yet in New York. And I don't think it ever works like, oh, indict him, go arrest him. That doesn't happen. And I'm no legal expert by far, obviously. I am not a lawyer, never had any position within the legal. I didn't even work as a marketing person for a lawyer. I have no legal experience whatsoever, but I do believe once the indictment is sealed, it has to go to a judge, and the judge has to sign off on an arrest warrant, and that doesn't happen. Like the grand jury is not going to say, "Okay, indict him," and they go get him. Bureaucracy, folks. It takes a while. But so Trump put it out there last Thursday evening, a week ago, a full week ago, that he expected to be arrested this Tuesday. Of course, that did not happen. But a lot of people spent their whole weekend obsessing over this, either how terrible they think it's going to be that how dare you indict a former president, or dancing in the street with glee that finally they're going to indict this former president. One of those two extremes. But it was a waste of your weekend. Me, I was out playing music. I did not expect it to happen. And I did expect it was a lot about keep my name in the news. You know, Donald Trump is if nothing, if not a man who likes to hear his name talked about, good or bad, keep it in the news, all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, so I'm trying to read some of the comments. LinkedIn user, I'm not sure who you are. Good morning, Matt from LinkedIn user here. LinkedIn user, that's strange. I've never seen that before. AW says, where do tornadoes come from? The weather? Uh, tornadoes do come from a high pressure system, low pressure system getting together and creating a vortex. And but there are certain places that are more prone to get them, like by the water, by oceans. You see water swirls a lot, but you rarely see land tornadoes over coastal areas. And California got hit with a couple of them. Believe it's pretty serious. Some deaths occurred, big time damage to structures and buildings and stuff. Uh, from Minnesota was in Cali once at higher elevation. Why don't I say elevation? Elevation, and they went nuts seeing snowflakes. I think the mountains get snow every year. Um, but very rare that they get snow down in LA County, and especially, at the lower elevations. Though God doesn't know it exists, and it's made up space. Um, God doesn't know it exists, and it's made up space. California. I don't know where uh, I was. Oh, good morning, Flicker. Flicker, that's a new name. Now where's Willie? If you one Nobody played the Where's Willie Wednesday contest yesterday. Willie is in one of the Dakotas. I believe he's still in Sioux Falls. Get tomorrow night, I believe it's the big show in North Dakota. Him and Preston Williams um playing someplace in Fargo. I forget the name of the place. I should know this. Willie, if you want to remind me of wherever the comedy venue in Fargo, North Dakota is. Now I'm wondering what it's like in Fargo, North Dakota. According to everybody I talk to, it doesn't matter what it's like in Fargo. Those people are diehard. If you live in Fargo, North Dakota, God bless you. But they'll go out to see a comedy show in weather like California has been seeing. Snowstorms and tornadoes, whatever. Snowstorms are nothing to people in North Dakota. Anyway, oh, good morning, Mike Shavola. He's been missing. He's been out there looking for Willie out in South Dakota. Anyway, young David Allfelder is an inspiration. That's all I got to say. We talk to a lot of young comedians. We talk to some older comedians who are full of ambition, full of desire, but not doing a whole lot beyond that, or even sometimes doing a lot and getting frustrated with the results. David is a man who has a vision and a dream, and he's applying himself towards it, and he's going at it full force. And I'm wondering, because it's got to be, he's got to be hitting some points of frustration along the way with his very busy young career, and I'm sure parents that wanted him to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or something normal, not a comedian, but probably support him anyway. Let's hear from him. He's here now. Let me just select my brand and welcome in the young aforementioned David Ulfelder. David, welcome and thanks for getting up early.
Yeah. It's been a while because I know last time I was supposed to do this, I just didn't wake up for it.
I love the voice, man. I love that morning voice. You sound like me after a gig, except a little bit higher pitched.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get rid of this
it's definitely morning
Willie
voice.
comment.
I've been up for about 4 minutes, but
So, were you at Paso Robles Poorhouse last night?
last night, no, I'm there a lot, but I wasn't last night.
Okay, 'cause I'm
I think I originally was supposed to be, and then it's actually my finals week for my like last week of school right now, so
so you're
um
still in school? I thought you graduated in June. So, I'm confused here.
no, it took me a while to grad. If I graduated in a normal amount of time, I would have graduated in June of
Oh,
over a year ago.
I like
But
that.
yeah, it took me about 5.5 years to graduate, but I'm graduating in
All
like
right. The
about
reason I'm confused about dates, and I hate to point this out, because it
yeah.
sounds like I'm a nitpicker, but I'm on your website right now. It says March shows, and everything has a 2 before it instead of a 3 before it.
Oh, yeah, okay, I didn't fix the one on the website. I fixed the thing on Facebook, and I didn't fix the one on there.
And it's like, it just March is a
Um,
3, right? March is still a
Here,
3. Yeah.
I could do that right now.
You don't have to do
That's
it
the
right
only reason
now.
I do this show is so you can point out mistakes I'm making,
Well, that's
and
good.
then,
Well, I'm glad I could be helpful.
then I go fix them. No, I'm single now, but I was with a had a girlfriend for a long time, and I realized quickly that anytime I had to post any show schedule or anything, I should just send it to her first, because
Well,
she would figure out everything I did wrong on it.
it won't be long before you're able to hire somebody to do your website for you, and you could just
Yeah.
concentrate on the comedy.
Yeah, I definitely get a little lazy with that stuff too, so
The stuff I was talking about. Now, first of all, there are lots of guys who are and girls who are a lot older than you who are trying this stuff and determined to be comedians, not working as hard as you are.
right.
Um, and but still hitting a large degree of frustration in the career. Have you hit? First of all, have it seems like it's easy sailing for you. I know it's different when you're young. You have more energy. You have all this more time. And I know it doesn't seem like that to you, but if talk to somebody in their 40s trying to manage a mortgage and stuff on the same
Yeah.
any frustrations with the career yet so far?
I mean, it's of course it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. I think I'm just very good at dealing with frustration. I don't really get stressed at anything or anything like that.
Is that a
So,
generational thing? Because I work with a young man, who's a video editor and he'll have a deadline with that Friday night, and I'll check with the Friday night at 5 o'clock. The thing's got to be done by 5 o'clock Friday night. four
right.
o'clock on Friday afternoon. I check on him. How's it going? It's going. It's like, are you? How soon is it gonna be done? It'll get done. Like it doesn't stress about anything, and I'm like, man, if that were me, I would be freaking out. I'd be punching walls. I'd be like screaming at everybody. I'm under a deadline.
Um, yeah, I mean, I also know again, it's finals week for me and all my friends. So I know a lot of people my age who are extremely stressed right now. Uh, I have a shit ton of work due in the next 2 days too, and I need to turn it in if I want to finish. So, but I'm not like worried about it. Again,
Uh,
I don't think it's everybody, but it's
uh,
definitely
your generation seems to be at least give the impression that they're not stressing out as much as the older folks do. I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe it's me. I'm just an old curmudgeon, old boomer like me. Now, when you're working comedy clubs, and there's old boomers like me who been doing it their whole life, and this is as high a level as they've gotten. The local comedy clubs, and they're not going anywhere, and that tends to make them really ugly inside and resentful of everybody who's going to be. Are you getting any kind of negativity from old dudes who are angry at their own life and see you as I don't know, lucky snot nose?
Yeah, I mean, you will from the ones who aren't funny. Usually, the funnier people are nicer.
Yeah,
He knows that. Like the ones who are good at it, are usually pretty friendly, because they know how to hold their own. But you'll every now and then. Recently, I experienced with a guy where it's like, really, it
yeah,
was
no.
just
You see it in music a lot. I do because I'm around so many musicians who are my age who never ever experienced life beyond the local bar scene or local club scene. And then there are, you know, young people who are going out on the road, doing things, bigger shows, and the older people just have nothing good to say about them. It's like, they got it easy these days. We did look at we had to carry mountains of equipment. We had to hire trucks, and they got it easy. It's always they got it easy. They got it so much easier. That's why they're more successful than us. But
yeah,
possibly you didn't have the talent.
right. I mean, and I will say, like, it is easier now. Like, there's more opportunities, but there are also a lot more comedians, I think, competing for those opportunities.
Way more,
So yeah,
way more,
so
and
I think it's about the same.
a lot of comedians who want to start it late in life. Like I've never seen this before. This situation where people turning 40 and 50 and going for the dream they had when they were 20 that they never did before. I mean, seeing it in music too, but and to some extent in acting, where people would and to some way, in some ways, I don't discourage it. I think it's a good thing that realizing that life is short, and if you want to do it now. But it's flooding the competition with older people who are just getting started and acting as kids,
Right.
young people. It's really tough. Anyway, you came to New York in the spring. What that was right after school ended last year, I guess.
That was no, it was I think it was like August, so it was like on my summer break period, I
Okay.
think.
How
That's
did that come about? Did you like just pick up a phone call and say I want to go play in New York or
Yeah, I my brother lives there, so I was just gonna stay with him, and I did. And I don't know, I hit up a lot of just random accounts on Instagram. I got like 2 hits back.
now
And so I
you had trouble getting up at 9 o'clock then, uh, and that was Eastern time,
that was
3 hours earlier than you are now, because your brother was keeping you up late. You were out partying too hard the night before,
was
right? But
that do we I don't think I was supposed to come on the show or anything around then.
I think you were.
I think that was separate. I think that was
Oh, okay.
during school. That wasn't well because I was only in New York for like 2 days. I wouldn't have planned this on
Uh,
those 2 days. I'd be like,
and how was that experience? Was it from the comedy
um,
performance?
the shows were really really fun, and
Get
like they were smaller shows. I wasn't doing anything. They
Oh,
were,
I was
you
gonna say,
know,
did you get to meet anybody who, significant names,
uh, but no,
HBO
but
names?
I also didn't start trying to get. I was busy enough, like doing shows and running shows at the time around here that I don't think I started trying to get shows till like 3 days before I got there, which is not the way to do it. I know that. Like I'm going to Denver next month and I already have everything lined up, and that's how you should do it.
And Denver's you go there periodically, right? You,
Yeah, I grew up in Colorado, so I've lived there for brief periods of time over the last 5 years in Denver. I didn't grow up in Denver, but I've lived in Denver, so I know the scene well enough to get booked there, I guess.
right. So
Um,
you're not unfamiliar with snow if you've lived in Denver. Um,
no,
I
I
was,
mean I lived where there was a lot more snow because I grew up in the mountains.
uh, I
But
was talk I started
yeah,
talking this morning about what's going on in California there. Now, Um, do you consider yourself a Californian at this point? You're there and like you're a California guy?
Oh, I don't think really.
Not
I'm not
really?
a real. um, I am moving to LA in May, and once I do that, I'll consider myself a Los Angelan because everyone moves there and then says they're from there, right? Isn't that like the stereotype?
Yeah, I'm not sure LA. We'll come back to the LA thing. I'm not sure LA's. Listen, don't listen to me. Forget I even said that. But what's going on out in California? Tornado. Now you're like middle of the state, right? You're not. You're
Yeah, I mean middle, but on the coast, kinda. Yeah, I mean we've got way more rain this year than they've
rain, but
ever gotten
tornadoes
here.
yesterday, right? Did you were you affected by tornadoes? Did you hear about?
I didn't even hear about that till just now, to be fair. Getting I was getting, my final schoolwork done pretty much all day yesterday. But I think if there are tornadoes, I'll look it up, but I assume they were inland tornadoes.
Wow.
I'm assuming Central Valley area, or yeah, that's what it is.
I'm not sure it
Montebello
was
towards that.
inland. I know it was down the coast a little bit towards. I don't know exactly where. I should know where.
It was in Montebello, California,
Montebello. Uh,
which is like East LA. Huh.
I lived in East LA for a while. One of the only two white guys living there at the time.
Okay,
Um,
well,
it was a very cool experience. And when I lived there, it was the late '70s, and there was a lot of comedy going on. Believe it or not, they were making a movie called Car Wash, which was just full of comedians, and it's being shot in East LA, and comedy clubs were sprouting up spontaneously around the area where we were shooting because there were so many comedians there
right.
temporarily shooting this movie that ended up being a bomb. Anyway, I think Richard Pryor's in it, George Collins in it. A lot of
I've
com-
heard of it. I've never seen it.
I'm in it for a second. You see me walk. I'm in an extra walking across the street in
That's
it. But no, that's probably why it bombed because I'm in it. Um,
yeah. I did
yeah.
tell no one to watch it after I
So
heard
I
that.
think where I started with the tornadoes and stuff, I think California did something to piss somebody off. I don't know with the snowstorms. You never see snow in
Yeah, I
California,
mean,
and tornadoes. It's like what the hell did you do? Who'd you piss off? What happened, California?
I don't know. I mean, it's people don't know how to deal with it here though. We've like had ton of my
No,
classes have been moved online, at certain points. People
yeah.
see like it's raining here and they're like, I won't leave the house. It's affected show attendance too. You know, not it's really annoying.
Yeah, a little bit of rain never hurt anybody.
No.
Um, so I mentioned because you did go to Germany, right? You were in Germany for a while
Yeah,
performing.
I mean, I think this was before before I went on here the first time, but during the pandemic, when there was nothing here, there was like a 4-month period where, because I have German citizenship, where I could go over there when no other Americans were allowed to travel. I had to enter on my German passport because they weren't letting Americans go anywhere.
Wow.
And I just did comedy in Berlin for like 4 months.
Now, what is comedy? And first of all, you speak fluent German,
Yeah, but I did all the comedy in English. But
and there's enough English speaking people that to get the jokes if you do it in
yeah, I
English.
mean, half of Berlin doesn't speak German. It's super international.
That's kind of
um,
messed up. I
I
mean, I'm not a America first, learn English if you're going to come to America guy, but you would think uh, most of the people should speak one common language. You would think that anyway. I
well,
don't
that
know.
language is English because every German knows English.
Really good.
Um,
That is the opposite of Adolf Hitler's dream. That's a good thing.
yeah,
Hitler
yeah.
wanted everybody in Europe to speak German, and it to me, it's kind of funny that everybody in Germany is speaking English. So, yay! It's kind of like,
Yeah, it's also, it's probably, I mean, it in New York and London, those are like the most international cities in the
right.
world. Here we go.
So, do you change your material for Germany? Like, do they
Oh,
laugh?
I had to completely restart. I mean, I actually use a few of those jokes now. To be fair, nothing I'd really written before then was very good, I felt like. Um, but I had to basically restart because you'd end up with an audience where, it'd be you, and then there'd be like four people from Romania and three people from China and like some guy from Zimbabwe, and then three Germans who won't laugh at anything because they're Germans, and that's the German things. So they're the worst audience members, and then you have to like make all of those people from a wide variety of backgrounds, laugh. So it all becomes like much simpler humor almost. And everyone's level of English varies. So, most people have pretty good English, but sometimes there'll be people in the audience you're like, well, you don't understand what I'm saying, And it's hard to
Yeah.
tell who those people are gonna be until like you're on stage and you say something, you're like, okay, that's where the rough English is. And
That's not a whole lot different than the New York experience in comedy clubs, at least during the week. Weeknights, you're going to get a lot of tourists because, New York is full of people visiting. And during the week, comedy clubs, that's why comedy clubs boom during the week in New York is you get all the tourists going there, but you could have people from any place in the world. And to me, that is a true test of being able to make people laugh because you can go to a place like, I don't know, Huntsville, Alabama,
right.
and you basically know that everybody there is going to be from Huntsville, Alabama, so you can kind of gauge your audience. But in places like that are more international, you never know who's going to be in the audience. So, stressful or not?
I mean, you just I think a weekend I was pretty used to it because you could do like 1 to 2 shows every night. Even then, I mean, I'm sure now would be easier because
Yeah.
things aren't, COVID restrictions are pretty much gone everywhere. I think. I don't know. I haven't been over. I'm going back over there this summer, but I haven't been over there
Oh.
since.
What is the plan for now, LA? Are you gonna are you going there for the comedy scene? Is that why you're going to LA?
Yeah, well, I need to get out of slow because there's not a lot here, and I'm done with school, so there's no reason to be here except for I do run all of these shows here, and I want to keep doing that. So I need to be in driving range of slow, and that's why I'm going to LA. If it was my choice, I'd probably go to a different city, but for now, yeah, I found a
How
good
far
deal
is it from you?
rent-wise.
It can't be that far because 'cause you're going
It's
there
like
until
3 hours, you know?
wow. So, if you were, like, gonna be playing the LA Improv, that you've done, that you basically plan that as a day trip?
I'm doing I usually go down for 2 days, like, I think I'm going down for 2 days later this
I was gonna say 'cause it would be
yeah.
really sucky to bomb and then have to drive home 3.5 hours. That would kill me. It wouldn't be if it was a good gig, I wouldn't mind a 3.5 hour drive home because then, I got a lot to think about and I feel good about myself. But if I go someplace and I totally bomb and now I got a 3.5 hour drive, that's torture, man. That's you in a car and your thoughts, your self, denigrating thoughts for three and
Oh,
a half
yeah.
hours.
I mean,
Tor
I've driven to LA and back for awful stuff because sometimes I just don't feel like I'm getting enough stage time up in the slow area, and it's just because there isn't that much stage time, there's a number of monthly shows
You
and
call it the flow area? Is that what you call it?
slow, San Luis Obispo, SLO,
Okay.
slow, and also it describes most of the retirees here.
Well, I don't know
Um,
why I thought you were in Fresno. San Luis Obispo.
I'm glad I'm not in Fresno. Sorry,
Uh,
nothing against Fresno. I've done shows in Fresno. It's lovely.
I have a friend who's in Fresno, Keith Lowell Jensen, who he kills it there. But I guess there's a comedy scene now enough to keep him working because he used to
Yeah,
be a national guy, but now he's
there's bigger or there's more stuff there than there is here. I mean, it's a bigger city. Fresno has a part, and
yeah.
there's only 60,000 people here, and 20,000 of them are college students. It's
It
not
would be that would be like the biggest city in the Dakotas.
yeah,
Well,
fair.
our
Or,
friend William Conway,
Wyoming.
what are you saying here, Willie? Willie say, "It's a dangerous drive. There's a lot of, bridge I im impoundments?" Impoundments?
Inputments.
What the hell is an
That's not a
impoundment?
word.
Uh,
Um, People say
impoundment.
drives are dangerous, but I grew up on these, like, tiny mountain roads covered in ice. Anything in California is easy.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
Uh,
never encountered I've been on those roads that, like, if you go 7 inches to your left and then you're in a blizzard, if you go 7 inches left, you're falling 400
I
feet, you
I
know?
hear you. It's scary stuff, which is why I don't like mountains that much, 'cause of I've had some of those experiences in my youth and, enough to kind of say, "You know what? I know people who fallen off mountains. I don't think I wanna risk that anymore." But I guess it's dangerous wherever you go. But where I'm thinking is, if you go to LA, you have a distinct advantage, and now I'm putting a lot on you here, assuming a lot. Most comedians who go to LA, at least in my mind, I'm convinced myself of this. Comedians go to LA not to be comedians, but to get discovered so they can be on a television show. Is that in the back of your mind or not?
No, I just wanna be a comedian. Again, I think one day I'll move to New York. I don't know when that is, but that's that's in the back of my mind. I just wanna do clubs and you know, the shows that I need to do to get there.
No,
I just wanna hit the road.
yeah, that's good. I
I
think
got a really good deal on rent down there, so I plan to be not there as much as possible,
I
basically.
I think that's um a good thing. I think that's a positive thing because if you're focused on being the best stand-up comic, your odds are far greater of being a really good stand-up comic than if your focus is on trying to end up on a sitcom. And this is what I'm seeing a lot of people who go to LA are really interested in. They won't tell you that. If you ask them, oh, I love comedy. But the first opportunity they get, they'll get off of doing stand-up altogether, leave that life behind, and be a television star.
See, I just know I can't act, so I'm not gonna
You
I
know
mean, I'm
what?
sure I can learn, I don't know, but
The the history of television is full of people who said that. Of the number one shows, Seinfeld can't act.
right.
Seinfeld is a billionaire off of his television show, and the guy who couldn't act. So, I'm not saying you should do that. I don't want to see you do that. First of all, I think that kind of television is probably dead or at least on its dying legs. I don't, I got a message this morning that my Netflix, I guess my Apple account is kind of messed up something and Netflix didn't get paid and they want to cancel my subscription. I haven't watched anything on Netflix in years. Go ahead and cancel. I just pay it. It's like a gym membership.
Right.
They just, that whole model of just taking money from you, even though you're not using it every month. That's a get rich quick type of thing for small businesses, but for consumers, it's a death milk because you put something on your credit card, you forget about it, you never check it, and they're just taking $20 out every month, and you got a bunch of those, and before you know it, you're paying hundreds of dollars every month for shit you don't use.
That's why I lost my wallet, probably like a year or 2 ago. I just left it on top of my car in Bakersfield of all places, and what I had to redo all my cards, and that's where I realized every subscription I had that I didn't want, right? Because everything sent me an email like, "Are you sure you wanna keep this up?" And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna put in a new card, just cancel it, I don't care." You know?
Yeah, and I love the fact that they act like your life is threatened by this. Like,
Right.
oh, your Netflix account is in danger of expiring if you don't. Oh my God, I got to
Right,
do
it's
something to
like, "What do
save my
I
poor
do?"
Netflix.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then you're going through all those, and you have to find, like, the 2 that matter, right? The one that's, like, your water bill for the month, and you're like, "I need that."
yeah,
And, because that was an issue too, I didn't change over my water bill, and that screwed me briefly, but it was It was fine.
And then the reconnect bill will be 5 times whatever the water bill
Yeah,
was.
I
Like,
think
yeah,
I
the water
talked
bill
my
was
way out of that one.
$27, but to reconnect, it's gonna cost $280, right? Something like that.
And so, yeah, they'll do. Also, water here is super
Do
expensive.
your parents, are they supportive of what you do?
My mom is ish. I mean, they are now. It now like looks profitable on paper at least. So, um, they are now. A lot of that does come kind of from the producing side, but which I don't love, but I seem to be okay at, so I do
Yeah,
it.
well, I think we talked about the college thing last time you were here, and, like, what is your degree gonna be in again?
Oh, now I mean it's switched since last time here, but it's just in general engineering, which just was a way to graduate with a mix of kind of disjointed engineering credits I got from switching my major 5 times. So
I've been there.
that's
Uh,
uh, that's what
but
I'm
at least the
getting.
engineering thing, that does provide, and I'm not encouraging this at all, that does provide a real job possibility, like, you get a
Yeah, I
degree
mean if
in
I wanted it, but I don't. Like I've been making my rent from comedy and comedy related stuff
God bless you, man.
now. I
Uh,
don't think my rent's going down as soon as I move, so I'm thinking that will make it easier.
that's a first in history. We ought to write this down. Somebody moving to LA and their rent
Yeah,
is
well,
going
I'm gonna be
down.
living in a disgusting garage and
Uh,
slumming it. But
Lu Hey, listen, this is from the heart. Cherish those times. Those times
yeah,
I lived in a trailer when I was in high school in Florida, not even like a trailer that most people would consider a home trailer. This was like like an RV that you would tow around that didn't have a truck in front, a pickup truck towing it around. It was in a trailer park, and I rented that for $27 a week. It was really the size of this room was the entire living space, and it was one of the happiest times of my life. I mean, it really was. It was a magical time, even though the it wasn't pretty and it wasn't
yeah,
luxurious. It was good. I mentioned the times in East LA too. East LA, I rented a room in the Hotel Californian, which is on Bonnie Bray and Sixth Street. Rented a room for $27 a week for two people. $27, and we split the 27, so it was $14 a week, or 13.50 a week. A
right.
two-bedroom a hotel room, and that was bliss for me. That was like perfect time. So I
Yeah,
mean,
you're not gonna find stuff that cheap anymore, but I found stuff that's relatively
yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah. No, I
cheap.
know, I know. I sound like I'm like a man from my grandfather. Bread was $3 a loaf, or no, three
Yeah,
cents a loaf.
you sound like one of the people in your generation. It's like, why
I'm
why can't
sorry.
people buy houses anymore? And it's like, it's because they don't cost what they used to
Yeah,
cost.
yeah. My parents' house cost $3,999.
And now it's worth what, 300,000 or
Yeah,
whatever.
the house. No, that house is worth easily $1 million. Easily
I
a
didn't
million
know
dollars.
where it was. I was just
Yeah. So it's just crazy how how can you expect young people to be able to ever? I mean, $1 million. It's just a down payment. You have to sell. Come up with $200,000 down payment. You have to save up that much. It's crazy
which
for a
is
$1 million house. And on Long Island, where I'm living, I mean, the real estate people will lie to you. They'll tell you the average house is about 300,000 to $500,000. That's a lie. Most of the houses on Long Island are in the millions, and
yeah, I
it's a
think that's
terrible
just
thing.
how it is now, which sucks, but whatever.
So
I'll
you're
rent
you're
my
you're
whole life.
never gonna get a job in engineering. You're pretty much sure of that right now, right?
No, I mean, we'll see. I might have a, mental breakdown, change my life. Who knows? But yeah, as far as I know, I'm never gonna get a
Well, that's
job.
something to look forward to.
There
Something to look forward to. Yeah. So you work really clean though. You're not a potty mouth on stage, right? You
Not
don't.
really. I occasionally have sworn on stage, but You know, if I have to work clean, it's very easy. I don't have to really change anything. You know, there's one point where I might say poop instead of shit. That's about it.
Now you don't have a whole maybe from my perspective, you don't have a whole lot of life experience to have a whole bunch of long stories about, or do you? Do you have? Are you a storyteller?
I mean, not really. I'll start with like a story, but you know, for me, it's very important to move from like joke to joke to joke, right? So if I'm telling a story, it's really just a framework to get jokes in. It's not, you know, it's not about the story. I don't. The story doesn't matter, you know.
Gotcha. Now, last night I was listening to Tom Segura and David Cross, and I love listening to comedians talk about their craft. And David Cross said, if he's not pissing somebody off, if somebody's not angry at him, he doesn't feel like he's doing his job. And Tom Segura completely agreed with them, and they started talking about people walking out and people walking out angry. And um, do you subscribe to that? That somebody has to be upset about your comedy in order for it to have real meaning?
I don't think anyone has to be upset. This was kind
Yeah,
of
because
coming
your
back.
job is to make people laugh.
Right.
But
I just want people laughing. I don't care if someone is upset, especially because people have gotten upset with me. I have some stuff that's you know, pretty like anti-religion, and I've gotten people who don't love that, but most people think it's funny, even people who are religious. So it hasn't been the biggest deal, but yeah, I don't subscribe to that. I think most of the shows I do, no one's mad. You know, I don't think you need to be antagonizing people or
no,
anything.
but you know what? Like, not too long ago in New Jersey, a girl, Ariel Arias, she was doing comedy, and she's not overtly political. She doesn't talk about political stuff. She's Jewish and grew up in Kentucky, and she makes a lot of jokes about Kentucky and being a Jew from Jersey trying to adapt to that world. But people in the audience assumed her political stance and were getting angry over over that. And so you know there is a point where it's really hard to make everybody laugh and keep every because people go with a chip on their shoulders, well, towards their own bias,
Oh
whatever that
yeah.
is.
I mean, I just know, like, I'm very liberal leaning. I know that there are times where that will come through on stage a little bit, and I know there are times where I've kind of regretted that comes on stage because San Luis Obispo itself is very liberal. But if you go anywhere else in the county, you know, you drive 20, 30 minutes north or south, it's completely different. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's Trump country, really.
that's
And
that's what. And Fresno now, Bakersfield, is that near you or not?
Bakersfield, well, it's about 2.5 hours, but
Oh,
I've
okay,
done a number of shows over there.
that's pretty conservative, right? Pretty.
It can be, but it also sometimes won't be, right? Because it's, you know, sometimes you'll get a much more Latino crowd, and usually they're less conservative and a lot more fun. But I've also gotten very conservative crowds over there, so
Yeah.
that one's a mix too, and that it's hard to know night to night because you could do. I've done two shows in the same place, and I felt like it was completely different politically
Yeah.
between the shows. You know, just like 6 months apart.
Do you like doing shows in the same place a couple of nights in a row?
I do that. Yeah, like, I
You
mean,
do?
yeah. When I get to do that, I like that because I'd rather just do the shows and not have to, you know, keep traveling around.
Hmm.
So that's the nice thing about clubs and stuff. But I don't get to do that many of
All right,
those.
I'll come back to the clubs thing in a second. If I remember, and my dementia doesn't get in the way of me remembering to ask you about clubs versus non-club shows. Um, JP Haberstad, who I talked to, who is a touring comedian. He's a guy who's like, I'd say late 30s, 40, but he's partnered with Eddie Pepitone, who is my age, and a veteran of the road. And those guys travel the country together, and they hate weekends. They hate being in the same place 2 nights in a row because what they really love about the life is the adventure of being on the road. But as partners like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid kind of banditos on the run, that whole and seeing new towns and all that stuff. So they're in it. Big part of the appeal for being in it is the traveling and getting to see new places all the time. That doesn't appeal to you?
I mean, I love the travel and I like driving around, but if you're selling me I could go somewhere for 4 days and just
Yeah.
stay
Now
there,
what
do some shows, then move on. I don't like staying places like super long periods of time, but 4 or 5 days in a place.
What about that idea of like, because they are a partnership now. They've been doing it long enough that they travel now. It's different than hooking up with a known headliner and being part of his show and traveling with them. These they kind of travel as equals. Is that something that appeals to you, like having a comedy partner that you hit the road with, or no?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd love to do that. I mean, it's harder to in the past. I've traveled with some people around here a few times and stuff like that,
Do you
but
have friends that are older, like? Because I'm thinking of JT and Eddie. They're 20 years apart, but they're really good friends. Do you have? Because I'm thinking most of the comedians that you meet are
are old.
probably older than you, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I end up making a lot of friends who are older than me, and I my roommate got annoyed last week because I just let some 40-year-old stay at our house, and I was like, "No, no, he's cool. He's cool, I swear. We're good friends. I like this guy." And he's like, "Yeah, but he's like 40." I was like, "Oh,
It's so funny to me because for a 40-year-old people would say, "What are you hanging out with somebody so young for?" For me,
right." Well, he did a few shows here, and he just needed a place to stay.
yeah,
And for you, they'd say so young, yeah.
right.
Well, we can hang out, and then it will look really weird. So,
Now you are aggressive in running these shows that you are uh, producing and stuff. What I'm seeing here is blowing my mind because years ago I played in a supermarket on a Sunday morning, and I thought that was so bizarre. I played with a rock. It really wasn't a rock band, but it was full band. They asked for a band on a Sunday morning in a supermarket, uh, and it was a very weird experience. And I thought, wow, I should make a mockumentary type movie, like a band that goes around playing like Jiffy Lubes and all these laundromats. And but what I'm seeing here in comedy is comedy shows that will happen everywhere. My friends 2 nights ago did a show with 8 comedians in a cigar store, and it was $25 admission plus 2 cigar minimum, and the cigars were expensive cigars. It's just weird. Are you seeing a lot of that?
yeah, I mean, it's mostly like bars, restaurants, breweries, but you do weird stuff. I did a show in a gun store in Austin, Texas one time. That's a real thing. That's the weirdest one I've done. I thought I was gonna get shot, but it was good. That was one place where I was like, wish I wasn't liberal.
Wow. Yeah, you got to be really careful about your political humor in
I
that.
also did a ton of anti-gun stuff because I just thought it'd be funny, and it was a good audience actually. They like laughed and stuff, but
Wait, you were in a gun store and doing anti-gun humor?
yeah, I was just kind of making fun of. I was kind of just
That
making fun of the situation, and
wow.
yeah, and I definitely just wrote some like anti-gun stuff just for that show that I never did again. But
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it's not surprising you never did it again, but it's pretty surprising that you walked away from it without a bullet hole in you. So, uh, they don't like to, gun folks generally don't have a sense of humor about guns at all. I mean,
yeah, these ones did, or they were just there for the show and they weren't gun folks.
well, that's cool. So that's an interesting. Like, I can't imagine like seeing that advertised. Oh, comedy show at the gun store, and being a not a gun guy, thinking I'm gonna go see that. That's like the cigar show. I wouldn't go to see that because it's in a cigar show, and I gotta buy 2 cigars and the cigars are not cheap cigars, by the way. They're
Right.
gonna be like 50 to $100 cigars. I'm not going I love my friends, my comedian friends, but I'm not gonna go support them in the place someplace that I'll go that I wanna be, and I'll go there,
Right.
but
And, but not as yeah, I also it was a free show, but they were paying I think it paid there were probably 7 people in that lineup. I think we got like 50 or $60 each. But
th that
th
is interesting because they
this was
obviously
this was a massive loss for the gun store, the way I calculated it, right? Because
right.
free show, they were also giving away free pizza and free beer. Um, they were taking tips on all of that, but I can't imagine. Um, but the joke I wrote a joke about it. I don't do it that much, probably because I never bothered to rewrite it. But I wrote a joke about it, right? That the whole like point of that show, is I guess if they sell one gun, a gun is a few $100, right? And it wasn't like there were a shit ton of people at that show. It was a small room, so there only needed to be like 15 people there, and it was good. Um, but, yeah, I mean, if he sells one gun, because the owner was there, the gun store owner was there, he was the one who paid everybody. If he sells one gun, I guess the night's worth it, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's at least 2 guns because just because the gun sells for $200 doesn't mean the profit margin is $200.
Right, that's probably a I
Uh,
think guns are more than 200. I don't know. I have no
it
idea.
just it strikes me as that, when you have a room full of guns and people who love guns, the one thing you wanna add is beer.
Is the
Uh,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
alcohol
I always thought
alcohol
that was
definitely
funny too, yeah, I was like, "Well, we're drinking." It was also great because there wasn't a real host of the show, there was just, one of the employees at the gun store just hosted, and he would go up. He had this really squeaky voice, and he would go up there and he would do like these kind of ads for guns. Like he would basically do ads for. I spent the first 5 minutes of my set that night just making fun of him because he would go up there in the squeaky voice and be like, and we take it easy on the background checks here, and something like that. I was like, okay.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. But Roy Firestone, ESPN guy from my era, used to do like jokes about that. He used to mock announcer for a baseball team. And it's hard liquor and handgun night here at the stadium. And like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like a good time. They used to have those kind of nights. I remember at Shea Stadium, which is where the Mets used to play back in the 20th century. There was a night where it was tap beer and Louisville Slugger night, and people were getting hammered on tap beers, and they were giving away bats, Louisville Slugger
Like,
bats.
yeah.
You can predict the outcome there. 50,000 people drunk on tap beer, everyone has a bat. There's going to be some trouble.
Isn't that I mean, replace bat with gun, and isn't that the NRA's dream that
Yeah.
everyone just has a gun? That's their solution to gun control. So,
Bizarre, man. So you're going to graduate for this year for sure, or
I'm graduating and, I mean, I'm not gonna walk or anything, but I'm done with school on Friday.
oh, nice,
So, yeah,
nice.
this is because 'cause we're on the trimester system, or they call it the quarter system, but it's a
Oh
trimester,
yeah,
but it's like
things change.
so
That's right.
this is my final quarter, as they call it.
Wow, that's a weird time to graduate in March or
Yeah,
beginning of April. Wow.
I've got a shit ton of work I gotta get done tonight,
Wow,
today,
feeling any pressure
tomorrow.
by the real world now? You got to stop being a student. The real world
No,
is
I honestly don't think my life's gonna change much, except for I have less, because I've already been making my own means and things. I just won't have to put all this time into schoolwork. You know, I'll have a lot more time to ideally to write and pursue opportunities, hit the road more, which I already do the road a lot for someone where I
Yeah,
am.
I'm overstepping boundaries personally here. That's fine. Are you straight fella, gay fella? Where
I'm straight. Yeah, I'm
do you have
straight.
a girlfriend?
No, I was in a 2-year relationship that ended maybe 5 6 months ago,
Is
and
did she
since
leave you
then,
because you're a comedian?
No. She was living in DC, so I broke up with her. It was too the distance was, like, too
I lost
far.
girlfriends along the way because I was in music. Not see, here's a weird thing. I got the girlfriends because I was a musician. They love the fact that, you're in a band, oh, that's sexy, that's hot. And the minute they find out what your life is really like as a musician, that you're not a rock star or anything, that's when it turns sour. And so I got the girl because I was a musician, and then she left me because I was a musician.
Yeah, I mean, that's that makes sense, you
Yeah.
know? I find that at my age, girls think, like, the whole comedian thing, on the road all the time, they think that's cool until the relationship, and then they start to realize that
And
it does mean I'm not gonna be with them all the time, or
right,
I'm
right. That's the biggest
yeah.
part of it is like, wait, you love what you do more than you love me.
When I tell girls when I start seeing someone, I'll be like before it gets to, like, the relationship phase, I'll just be honest. I'll be like, "Look, for the next who knows how many years, comedy is always gonna come first."
My
And
drummer, he's 63 years old, and he opens with that line with and his relationships don't last. He's been through in the 25 years I've known him, he's been through at least 30 or 40
Jesus.
relationships in that time. But he always opens up with that. I don't I think even though women hear that at the beginning, they're not taking it seriously. They're like, I'll be the one to change that.
That and I definitely have felt that
Yeah.
people or they think that, and
Yeah. It's like
that's a
I'll be
nice
the one
thought.
to save him. He's a bad boy now, but all he needs is the right woman in his life, and he'll give up.
Right.
Like, what do
But
you want to be married to an engineer? Give me a break.
well, yeah. I could be an engineer. No, yeah, no, it's rough. They think they're gonna change, but the thing is, especially the way I've set my life up, if I'm not doing comedy, I'm not making money. So,
It would seem to me that a guy your age, good looking young guy, being funny and all, would get a lot of cougar pussy though. Like women in
yeah,
divorcees in their 30s who just and one night stands.
I used to have jokes about that. I guess I still do. I just don't do them as much. But it's happened.
No, it still happens to me, believe it or not. I'm 65
So a
or
cougar is what,
64.
90 for you, or
Yes, I have eight, 80 something, 80-year-old plus women hitting on me all the time. It's just like, you know what? Even
You gotta
even if I
stop
still had
doing.
any interest in it, it wouldn't be with
You gotta
somebody.
stop doing shows at the retirement homes. That's the
No,
problem.
right. And you pull the panties off and dust flies out.
Ooh, gross.
It's a desert down there. It's been dry for
Ooh,
60 years. Uh,
that's why they invented lube, right? See,
right.
I've never had to use lube yet, so
Oh man, I don't think there's enough. I think the pipeline wouldn't be enough for some of these ladies that hit on me, but that's a whole other story.
no, well,
Yeah,
I'll let
um,
them know you said that. Yeah.
yeah. Eh,
I'm gonna cock block your chance with all the 90-year-old women.
all right, now davidulfelder.com is in scrolling across, and it's in the description. But if you go there, just notice that
No, I fixed it.
you fixed it. Good.
You're gonna refresh.
Wow,
I was
you're
smart. I
quick.
used our time well.
All right. All right. So it's all cool now. You got any thing you want to let's see what the next thing on the calendar is. Sunday night, right? Sunday night is the next big thing for you. Central
I
Coast.
mean, the next real big thing is I'm doing the La Brea Improv next Wednesday.
Now, when you do that, do you know who's the headliner there that night or not?
I can look it up.
Probably somebody big, right? They
I don't think it's someone It's a Wednesday, so I think it's I think I know who it is, but I want to double check that. Here we go. It is. I don't know. I think Greg G. Williams. He's a good comedian. He's a friend of mine.
have you met anyone who in that is like killing it, like superstardom or stardom in comedy with big names? As you do in your
I mean, years ago, I did one show opening for Taylor Tomlinson, and who's the one? Joe. I just opened for. It was supposed to be Moshe Kasher, but he pulled out last minute, so it was
I
some
hate
guy
that.
who's also pretty famous, Joe something with an M. I want to say. I don't know. He had a Wikipedia page. This is purely how I judge how famous
Yeah,
comedians
me
are,
too.
how
Y
long their Wikipedia page is.
you know, I never started my own Wikipedia page, but I noticed this too. Anytime somebody has a Wikipedia page, that's impressive to me. Even though I know I could start my own, anybody could start
Well,
their own.
they actually cleaned that up because my brother, as a joke, started one for me, and it
Oh,
got deleted.
I
So,
remember that. Yeah, yeah, we talked about that last
oh
time.
no, that was the agency that still exists, I believe. The
Uh,
talent agency that I'm
oh yeah, that's right.
part of. That was good. I'm glad it fooled you.
Now, your brother's not inclined to do stand-up comedy. He's not
No,
interested.
he has no interest. He's just got a well, he's about to graduate too, and he's doing it in the normal. He's 2 years younger, but he'll graduate in the spring like a normal
Is he your parents' favorite?
person. Yes. No, most definitely. He did exactly what they wanted. He went to Columbia. Um,
Wow.
so he's
Good for you. It's good to be the bad sheep, big brother, the black
yeah,
sheep.
I definitely am.
I
But he just got some fancy consulting job, so he's gonna go work for
wow.
McKinsey and be part of, evil corporate
He's gonna have
America.
a boring life. I mean, I'm not. I don't wish this on him, but he's gonna be one of those guys at 40 who's gonna try stand-up comedy at 40 when he's ready, when he's comfortable. The house is starting to get paid
Yeah.
off.
Well, hopefully I'll have made it somewhere by then, and then he can come open for me.
Right. Yeah. Good. Now, before I let you go, the I'm not a Dave at I'm not a Dave. Is that your socials? That's
That's
not.
yeah, is YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, which I don't use.
Does
We
it
we
bother
talked
you to
about
be
that
called
last time, but
Dave?
it doesn't really, but I'm not a stoner. I feel like Dave is a stoner name. That's that's the full logic behind it. I don't know. One day I'll probably change that if I think of something better, but that's what it
Y-
is. I'm
Yeah,
not a Dave.
Dave always reminds me of Cheech and Chong. Dave's not here. I have a lot of David friends, and a lot of them are called David. They will prefer to be called David. Very few. The only one I know is Brother Dave, who goes by Dave, but Brother Dave, it's got to be brother. And then a lot of them are Davy. To me, I would prefer to be called Dave than Davy. Davy sounds like a
Yeah,
little
I mean,
kid.
honestly, there's like two people who call me Dave, and it's fine. If you want to call me Dave, you can call me Dave. I don't actually care at all. I just think a Dave in my mind is either a stoner or a stepdad, and I'm neither. So
Oh yeah, Dave the stepdad.
yeah,
I love how we get these I don't know conceptions in our mind of
yeah.
that's what that means. But
So that's
anyway, I
the
do wish I, I
logic.
I wish you continued success, man. You are. I'm not saying this, insincerely. This is completely sincerely. You are an inspiration to me because I talk a lot about comedy needs young voices. We're seeing too many old people in comedy, and while I don't discourage anybody at any age from being in comedy, I feel like if it's dominated by people my age, we lose something of perspective from the younger generation. So I'm glad to see you doing it, and I hope that you continue to do it. And when you become a household name, I'm going to take full credit for it, no matter what.
Yeah, great.
I
You
discovered
do
him. He was
that.
he
I'll be
was
like,
nobody.
I went on that guy's. What does this air on? YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube and Live 365, 24/7 on Mind Dog Radio and YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Roku and every place we are. But uh,
Good to know. Yeah.
David Ulfelder is he's my I discovered him. He's All
Hey.
his success will
Well,
be because
set
of
me
me.
up with some gigs and stuff, and then I'll actually give you credit.
Well, you come to Long Island, I promise you. If next time you're in New York, give me
I am
some
gonna
advance.
head over there in probably May or June. Probably
Give me
May.
some advance notice. Give me 2 weeks advance notice. I'll get you at least 3
Okay,
Long Island
yeah. I
gigs.
gotta knock out my schedule, but I'm gonna be on cheap rent, and I can go to New York for LAX. People give LAX shit, but flights out of there are cheap, so you can fly anywhere.
Yeah. All right,
Um,
cool deal. Well, thanks for getting up
yeah,
early. Good luck with this week and next week at La Brea. Next Wednesday night at La Brea Improv. And I appreciate you being here, and I hope people will come out and support you.
yeah, I appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Great. See you.
I
See you.
just
Bye for
you
now.
kicked me.
David Ulfelder, folks. Good stuff. I am remiss. I got to play sponsors part, sponsors pieces here. Today we have a couple of them. We got to play back to back. Bear with me. I'll be back to wrap things up after our sponsors. We'll start with Koa Coffee. This episode is brought to you by Koa Coffee. If you are a coffee connoisseur and want to experience the best coffee Hawaii has to offer, no blends, no compromise, try the true taste of aloha. Koa Coffee produces premium Hawaiian coffee, hand-picked, expertly roasted, and delivered from Hawaii to your door with aloha. From award-winning 100% Kona coffee grown on the slopes of the Mauna Loa volcano to the unique mocha beans of Maui, they strive to provide their loyal customers with the best quality and freshness. Since 1997, Koa Coffee has been known far and wide as a product of utmost quality, and their awards prove it. Koa Coffee was featured in Forbes' Top 10 Coffees of the World. This is the coffee Forbes called the best coffee in America. Find out what it's all about. Go to minddogtv.com/coffee.
Over 2 million guitar players worldwide learn, practice, and play with TrueFire. Our learning tools and massive library of video lessons will ignite your technical skills, harmonic knowledge, rhythm playing, and soloing chops. TrueFire's educators are the best in the biz, from Grammy Award winners to world-renowned artists. You'll have access to an unparalleled faculty of over 300 top-notch blues, rock, jazz, country, fingerstyle, and acoustic guitar educators. Using our desktop and mobile apps, you'll work with TrueFire's multi-angle video lessons on any device, anytime, anywhere. Integrated learning tools such as video synced tab and notation, slow-mo, looping, practice jam tracks, and many more handy controls accelerate your learning experience. TrueFire style-specific learning paths guide you every step of the way. Use our assessment tools to find your starting point, then follow our lesson recommendations and track your progress as you work through your personalized TrueFire study plan. Progress faster with private one-on-one instruction, group lessons, multi-track video jams, live streams, song lessons, student forums, TrueFire's Riff magazine, premium jam tracks, and much, much more. With thousands of 5-star ratings and reviews from amateur and pro players alike, you'll find yourself in good company with the world's most comprehensive guitar learning platform. Grab your guitar and ignite your musicality. Sign up free for an all-access trial today.
Yeah, and I'm back. David Wolfelder, folks. How about that kid? He is an inspiration, and I think I hope the comedy world sees more people like that coming into it, and rather than just old guys like me who just wish they were trying to recapture their youth and all that stuff. I got a letter yesterday from a prospective guest from the nighttime show. Now, the nighttime show feels to me like it's run its course. Generally on the nighttime show, and I have had some really cool comedians Uh, but for the most part, it's a more serious conversation over there. And I got one. I just want to read the beginning of this letter because it gets me. It says, "I hope, dear Matt, I hope this message finds you well, and I'm reaching out because I'm a huge fan of your podcast, and I believe my perspective on self-growth, relationships, sexuality, and dating would be a great fit for your audience." First of all, I I appreciate somebody telling me they're a huge fan of the show, but I generally don't believe it. Like, and I almost want to say, let's get this guy on as soon as possible so I could test him on how big a fan of the show he is. I don't know. Is it me? Is this my idiosyncrasy where I can't accept that I actually have huge fans of my podcast because I'm a huge fan of your podcast? And I believe that self growth, my perspective on self growth, relationships, sexuality, and dating would be a great fit for your audience. Wait, you're a huge fan and you believe that? I've had tons of shows on self growth, relationships, and sexuality. I could tell you those shows are not the ones that draw the big fans base. The fans come out is for the nighttime show of the crazy people, paranormal people, the UFO abductions, the Bigfoots, the flat earthers. The fans come out for that. Self growth, not so much. Relationships, nobody cares about their fucking relationship. Uh, Sexuality, you would think, but no. Everybody thinks they got the handle on the sexuality. Most what's surprising about how many guys just think they are the king in bed and brag about it. Now, I for that part, I think a lot of guys are self-delusional. They think that I know my way around a vagina. You say that, but look at the mutt you're with. I'm sorry. Proof is in the pudding. If you're not with like a hot supermodel, do not brag to me about your prowess with women. It's just uh it's just not believable. It's like me telling you how good I am with money, and then you see the house I live in. I'm not rich. A guy bragging about his prowess in bed, and then you see him with, you know, Susie Sorority from the Silent Majority. um, I don't know. I just don't believe a lot of guys who brag in bed. So somebody says they're a huge fan of mine. I'm tempted. Get them on the show. Let's put them through the test and see who's my go-to sponsor. You're a big fan of the show. You had to hear me go to my go-to sponsor once in a while, right? Maybe that's an easy one. What's my pet peeve kind of guess, and what pisses me off the most? Most of the people who listen to the show know me all too well, know me better than my wife now, and knows the kind of things that piss me off. Anyway, I just thought, that's interesting. A huge fan, and I get those a lot, but not generally that way where they open up with, because I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I'm betting this is a form letter, and every single podcaster he reaches out gets that. And I'm not going to mention his name, but most of those people. And now, if he's listening today, this will be proof. If you're the guy who wrote me that letter, and you know it's you, it sounds like you're a little form letter. Uh, Write to me and say no. I'm sincere, because if I don't get a letter from you today saying no, I'm actually sincere about that, then I know it's a phony form letter. The other thing is, Indeed, the job hunt site has been sending, I guess, something somewhere along the line, the bots or computers or whatever the algorithms, you want to use that word, algorithms that I can't define, and neither can you. Something figured out that I took a job after being completely self-sustained doing this for several years. And I'm getting inundated with job offers, headhunters looking for looking for people to fill jobs. And one of the ones I got recently came in an email and said they were looking for somebody to pitch television shows and movies for an author who has inside knowledge to one of the most popular biker clubs in the world. I'm not going to name which. He was an officer in this biker club, and all this information about his authorship and his books, and to pitch movies because he wants to turn his movies into books. And I'm like, well, I don't know the first thing about how to pitch a movie. This job's not for me. Sorry, but and I said, I went and I filled out the application. I said, I'm not really interested in the job at all. I don't want the job, but I'd love to have you on the podcast and talk about the experience in the biker club. I do think that's a fascinating topic because there's so many dynamics within biker clubs, from the outlaw gangs to the non-outlaw gangs, the weekend warrior, ride my Harley to feel like a tough guy, grandpas and such out there. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff in there, dynamics within the. So, but then he got back to me, and his initial thing was he didn't want to do a podcast. Can we have a phone call about it? And we did have a phone call. We had a nice discussion, and he was saying that podcasts don't sell books, and I'm not interested in that. Blah 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 blah. Okay, no hard feelings, but thanks for calling. Blah blah. And now I got several emails from him saying, "Yeah, I'm kind of interested in doing your podcast. Can you tell me how many listeners you have? How many downloads per episode? Who's your audience? Where they go?" And like, I'm doing all this work now for somebody who I offered an interview for and to help sell books for. They didn't seem interested. Now they seem interested. And now they got me jumping through hoops to pull down numbers for them and all that stuff. Either you want to be on or you don't. It's an hour of your time. If it sells one book, probably more than you're getting paid sitting home not selling books, right? But the idea that, you know, you want to be on or you don't want to be on. Don't make me work for you. I have tons of people every day inquiring about being on this program. Most of them I'm turning down now, which is why I'm having less and less guests. I'm only accepting the ones that I really like. And for the morning show, I'm being a little picky. And even for the evening show, I'm being a little picky. And the evening show feels like it's run its course, and it's like I'm running out of good. I've covered everything I could possibly think of on that program. I even had a woman hater. Men are discriminated against guests, which is a first for me. But I can't think of anything I haven't talked about on the evening show, and it feels like I don't want to hear from another life coach. I got nothing left to ask life coaches except, why don't you get a real job? Have you tried stand-up comedy? Uh, do anything but life coaching. Because to me, if your life isn't really, really super successful, you have no business. Look, football coaches, baseball coaches, they come from generally have lived a career. They've had a career in that life. You need some experience to be a coach, don't you? You need to have won a championship or been on a championship team to be a coach, at least from my perspective. I don't know. So I'm tired of the life coaches. But one thing I don't want to do, and somebody asked me, one of the publishers I reached out to, he booked a guest on the show and then came back a week later and said, he wants to do your show, but he wants to know about numbers and all this stuff. Like, you know what? Do your own research. Find out how many listeners I have. Go to my YouTube channel. Go to all my channels. See how many followers I have. Do the math for yourself. Don't make me. I'm not begging for guests. I'll sit here and talk to my fucking self before I fucking go and do a bunch of research and pile some numbers for somebody who's, if it were my dream guest, who's my dream guest now? I don't know. Who would Klein is going to turn me down, by the way. I'm tired. I'm tired of jumping through hoops with celebrities who, keep putting me off. Maybe next month. Call right back next month. No, fuck you. I've asked you twice. I'm not going to ask a third time. Um, so I'm just trying to think I guess Paul McCartney is still up there before he kicks. He's 80 years old. I want to get him on before the dementia sets in. I guess Paul McCartney would be and you know what? Stern would be a good one because I want to talk to Stern about how I've listened. This occurred to me last night. I've listened to Howard Stern go from an immature 20, late 20s, early 30s something who sounded like a 13-year-old when he first started on the radio in New York to now I'm seeing clips of him from what he does now, and he sounds like Howard Stern's grandfather. He really does. Last night I was listening to a clip where he's trying to prod Jon Stewart into running for president. Jon Stewart, Daily Show, Jon Stewart, the problem with Jon Stewart, comedian, prod him into, but he sounded like Howard Stern's grandfather. And this is what happened when you live a long enough life. You get to see and experience the full arc of someone's career. And I've watched Stern go from teenage boy in a man's body, young man's body, to premature, senile old man in an old man's body. And that's where I believe he is now. And it's a shame to me. He ought to just retire and walk away before it gets too bad. But he sounds like listening to him sounds like listening to somebody's grandfather talk about the good old days. He just has that air about him, and he's not. So it sounds like I'm putting him down, but I would love to talk to him. Love to have him on the program to discuss the arc of his career, and if he even has the self awareness of how he's become all the things he used to hate. He used to hate Hollywood and the red carpet world and celebrity life, and he used to make fun of that even though he was a rock star fan. He loved talking to the rock stars and comedians, but at some point he became, I don't know, out of touch old man. And I'm wondering if he even has that self-awareness. The celebrities now love to talk to him. And I'm thinking most of these celebrities who talk to him, McCartney goes to see him on a almost regular basis. I don't think they would have talked to the old Howard Stern, the good Howard Stern, the entertaining young Howard Stern. You know me, I was never the biggest Stern fan in the world, but I do think he was the king of radio in his day. He called himself the king of all media. I don't think he was that. He was the king of radio in his day, though, before podcasting was around. And I don't think any of these people who are regulars on his show now would have given that guy an hour of their time. So I guess I don't know how I got on this stuff, but just looking at who I would really love to have on the program. Don't know where we're going from here. It's an uncertain arc for me, but I do know next week I'm planning on having Erica Rhodes on, which I've been looking forward to for a very long time. She will be here. She's in New York now. She'll be performing at the Midnight Theater in Manhattan next Thursday, a 7:15 show. Why are you calling it a midnight theater if you're having shows at 7:15, by the way? And then Thursday and Friday out at the Brokerage, which is part of the Governor's. I don't even know. Are we still on Governor's Radio? I should check that. Am I even there? Are we getting any listeners from what's coming back to us from the Gov's world? anything? Am I even still there? Does anybody know? Anyway, she'll be at brokerage next Thursday and Friday. I'll be at the brokerage show, but I'm hoping that we have agreed in principle to her being on the show next week. I have to remind her of that. I think she's afraid of me. She's like, he's a dirty old man. He's gonna want to hit on me or something. I'm not. I am a dirty old man, but I'm not gonna want to hit on her. I want to talk about comedy. Anyway, but I think she's a little nervous about it. But I'm pretty confident that next Thursday, a week from today, Erica Rhodes will be with me. I'm going to see Sam Talent that night at the Union Hall in Brooklyn, and looking forward to that. Now, I might bring. I have some extra tickets still available for Sam Talent, by the way. If you would like them, DM me, write to me, info@minddogtv.com. If you're on Long Island or in New York and Brooklyn, or even in Manhattan, you could probably come out to Brooklyn to Union Hall and see. I think we still have 3 extra tickets for Sam left. Is that possible? I know I gave some away. Maybe 3, maybe 2. But so if you're in town, you got a couple, you want to go see the fabulous Sam Talent next week, hit me up. I got tickets for you, man. Union Hall. That should be a really good show. Really, really good show. Last Rites Later. Oh, what we got Carl in the program. Last Rites Later, and then Hack Oddity tomorrow. Hack Oddity. Andy Baker, another fat guy cooks on YouTube, will be Carl's guest. I think he'll be cooking up gluten-free bread or something for Carl. Something to make. No, not regular bread, regular pasta. He's going to be cooking up a special make Carl's ass bleed dish for us, and showing us if you want to make Carl's ass bleed at home, you can take notes, have Carl over, and cook for him, which is always fun. I love when Carl bleeds, his ass comes over to my house to bleed. I still have a bucket of ass blood from him from last time he was here. He spent the weekend, and I was just shoving bread down his throat, watching the blood pour from his ass. I should really sign off and get the fuck out of here, right? I do have work to do. I've been procrastinating. Procrastinating is my thing. It's what I do best. It's what I love to do. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't think I have a guest scheduled for tomorrow. I'm not even checking. How about that? I'm not even checking. Willie has a show tomorrow night over in Fargo, North Dakota. For all 7 people who live in Fargo or in the surrounding area, go out and see Willie and Preston tomorrow night. That's the show for today. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you tomorrow. Turn on your radio. Bye for now.
me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.